Nature doesn't fight fair. When something bigger, faster, or hungrier shows up, most animals get exactly two options: run or die. A handful of species looked at that choice and refused both of them outright. They turned their own bodies into weapons instead, permanently, sometimes irreversibly. They started hurting themselves on purpose, because a controlled wound beats a fatal one every single time. By the time we reach the last two animals on this list, you're going to wonder if nature is even following its own rules anymore, or if it just stopped caring what's supposed to be possible. One thing first, you already know the mantis shrimp punches harder than a bullet. You already know the horned lizard cries blood. Every list like this leads with those two facts, so we're skipping them entirely. Everything from here forward is new, fully verified, and in a couple of cases, too strange to have been invented by anyone on purpose. Number 10. Assassin bug. It's wearing a pile of corpses on its back, and it's still hunting. The assassin bug kills almost exclusively by ambush, driving a needle-like mouthpart into an ant and pumping in an enzyme that liquefies the ant from the inside within minutes. No struggle worth mentioning, no warning. Then it drinks, and what's left behind is an empty shell, hollow and paper-thin. Most predators would leave that shell where it fell and move on, but the assassin bug glues it to its own back instead. Then another, sometimes dozens deep, until it's dragging around a lumpy, jumbled mass that doesn't look like an insect at all anymore, just a small, moving heap of the dead. Researchers actually tested whether any of this serves a purpose beyond grim decoration. They put masked bugs, wearing their corpse pile, into cages with jumping spiders, one of their main predators, alongside bugs that had been stripped bare. The spiders, which hunt almost entirely by sight, went after the naked bugs roughly 10 times more often. The pile doesn't just mask a scent, it shatters the bug's silhouette into something a predator's brain simply can't file under food, camouflage made entirely out of the things it's already killed. Number 9. Boxer crab. So what do you do if evolution simply forgot to give you weapons? If you're the boxer crab, you steal someone else's. This is a crab the size of a fingernail, with claws too weak to crush a grain of sand, living on reefs, crawling with things that bite, sting, or crush anything careless enough to wander too close. Its solution is to pick up a live sea anemone in each claw and hold them out in front like a pair of stinging boxing gloves. Get too close, and the crab doesn't back away. It advances, throwing venomous punches with tentacles it didn't grow itself. The anemone gets carried to richer feeding grounds and a faster, more mobile bodyguard than it could ever manage crawling around on its own. And here's the part that should worry you if you're rooting for this crab's independence. Marine biologists studying this relationship have essentially never found one in the wild without its anemones. Its claws evolved around holding them and basically nothing else. Take them away, and the crab can barely feed itself, let alone fight anything off. It didn't just borrow a weapon, it gave up the ability to survive without one, permanently, generation after generation. Number 8. Flick-flack, or cartwheeling spider. A spider that got bored of running. In the sand dunes of southeastern Morocco, when a predator closes in, the flick-flack spider throws its front legs overhead and cartwheels away, flip after flip, moving at roughly double its normal walking speed. Legs and body rolling across the sand like something out of a nightmare gymnastics routine, uphill, downhill, straight into the wind, which no other rolling animal on the planet can manage without gravity doing most of the work for it. A bionics researcher who filmed this behavior in 2009 was so unsettled by it that he spent the next several years building an actual robot to copy the motion, a machine now being floated as a serious design candidate for exploring the surface of Mars. A desert spider invented a mode of travel that human engineers hadn't gotten to yet, and it did it purely to avoid becoming lunch. Number 7. Sea cucumber. Now slow down, because the sea cucumber's version of self-defense is worse than anything so far, and it can't even run in the first place. It sits on the seafloor, soft-bodied, defenseless, exactly the kind of easy meal a predator dreams about. Cornered, with nowhere to go, some species do something that sounds like a horror film prop department got involved. They contract violently enough to tear open their own body wall and fire long, sticky tubules, sometimes almost their entire digestive tract, directly into the attacker's face. The threads tangle around claws and gills like fishing line flung into a struggling animal, and that's usually the end of the fight right there. Predator thrashing, retreating, wanting nothing more to do with this thing. And then, somehow, the sea cucumber just keeps living. Weeks later, the organs it just launched at a predator have regrown completely, and it's back on the seafloor, grazing, as though none of it ever happened. Number 6. Nudibranch. The nudibranch doesn't build weapons either. It just doesn't return them. When this sea slug eats a jellyfish, or an anemone, or anything else armed with stinging cells, it doesn't fully digest the weapon packed inside its prey. It moves those stinging cells through its own gut, still loaded, still fully live, and stores them in sacks running along its own back, ready to fire on command. Touch a nudibranch, and you're not touching a slug. You're touching a gun somebody else built, aimed, and never got to use, now pointed straight at you instead. Number 5. Iberian ribbed newt. Now imagine feeling your own ribs pushing outward through your skin, on purpose and on command. The Iberian ribbed newt has 8 to 10 small orange warts running down each flank, and until it's threatened, they look like nothing more than decoration. Cornered, it flattens its body, arches its back, and angles its ribs forward hard enough that they punch straight through the skin, turning into barbed, poison-coated spikes in real time, while glands along its flanks release a milky toxin at the exact same instant. Bite down on this thing, and you get punctured and poisoned in one motion. No second bite required to make the point. And the newt does this again and again, across its entire life, over and over, without ever running out. The skin regrows every time with no infection, no scarring, nothing left behind but the same row of orange warts, waiting for the next threat. It built reusable body armor out of its own skeleton and figured out how to heal from using it. Number 4. Hairy frog or wolverine frog. There's a frog with almost the same idea, except it never gets the reset button. The hairy frog, nicknamed the horror frog for exactly this reason, can snap the bones in its own toes on command and shove the broken, splintered ends straight through its skin to form working claws, sharp enough to tear flesh. Unlike the newt, these don't retract, and they don't heal back into place afterward. This is permanent, one-way, self-inflicted weaponry, deployed only when there's genuinely nothing left to try and no way out that doesn't involve breaking something. Scientists who documented it described it as a biological nightmare come to life, and it sat completely undiscovered in West African rainforests until shockingly recently, hiding in plain sight this entire time. Underwater, something even smaller is doing something even more violent, and it never touches its target at all. Number 3. Pistol shrimp. The pistol shrimp has one absurdly oversized claw, comically large against the rest of its tiny body, like it borrowed the wrong limb from something 20 times its size. It snaps that claw shut faster than the surrounding water can physically respond, and in the gap left behind, a bubble forms and collapses in a fraction of a millisecond. That collapse briefly produces heat close to the surface of the sun, and a shockwave loud enough to stun or kill small fish outright, without contact, without so much as brushing against them. No bite, no venom, just physics, weaponized by something smaller than your thumb, guarding a burrow like it's the only thing standing between it and the rest of the food chain. But nothing on this list is more disturbing in the most fascinating way possible than what Japanese honeybees do to giant hornets. Number 2. Japanese honeybees. A single scout hornet finding a hive is a death sentence because it marks the location with a chemical trail and can return within hours with a raiding party capable of erasing 30,000 bees in a single afternoon, an entire colony gone before sundown. So the bees don't wait around for that outcome. The moment a hornet crosses into the hive, workers swarm it from every direction, forming a tight, living ball, sometimes 500 bees deep, all vibrating their flight muscles in perfect, coordinated unison. The temperature inside climbs past 115 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to kill the hornet within minutes, just cool enough that the bees packed around it survive the exact same heat. The hornet cooks alive, trapped inside the very colony it came to destroy, unable to fight its way free through a wall of its own would-be victims, and the bees walk away from it, like nothing happened at all. And then there's the one that doesn't walk away at all, on purpose, by design. Now, our number one exploding ant. When a colony faces a threat it can't outrun, certain worker ants contract their own bodies with enough force to rupture their abdomens, spraying sticky, toxic glue in every direction at once. The ant dies, instantly. No version of this ends with it surviving, and it seems to know that going in. But the glue traps the attacker, sometimes for good, buying the rest of the colony seconds it wouldn't otherwise have had. Seconds that matter when the difference is the queen living or the whole nest wiped out. Scientists call it autothysis. It exists in only a handful of species anywhere on Earth, which tells you exactly how extreme this level of sacrifice really is, even by nature's standards. And it leaves you with one question none of the other 9 animals on this list really make you sit with. What is loyalty, if not choosing to end yourself instantly so someone else gets to keep going? 10 animals. A crab that outsourced its own fists to a creature it never controls. A frog that snaps its own bones into weapons and never gets them back. An ant that detonates for a family it will never live to see grow up. None of this was ever really about being the biggest or the fastest. It was about being willing to do the unthinkable. The second everything was actually on the line. No hesitation, no second option left on the table. So which one of these didn't you see coming? Tell me in the comments. And if nature fighting dirty is exactly your thing, you already know what to do next.